When I was 23 years old, I joined my first job. In order to integrate into the team as soon as possible, would actively participate in the activities organized by the company, including some outdoor activities. Once, the company organized to go to an outdoor club. This club provided many outdoor facilities and their camping equipment was well equipped. You can boating or fishing here. We can spend a weekend or an afternoon in the natural environment near the club. In this club, they also offer a rafting day trip. My colleagues were excited to sign up for this activity. Although I don't know how to swim, I didn't want to miss this opportunity, so I bought a ticket as well. We left very early in the morning and arrived at a wide river where I saw a lot of people playing in the water. I was a little nervous at first, but my colleagues told me not to worry. When we started rafting, I felt very excited and nervous. At first, the river was calm and we moved forward smoothly. I started to enjoy the sport slowly. It was June when we went. The water was much more turbulent than normal because the snow was melting in the mountains. I felt that paddling seemed easy and not as dangerous as I thought it would be. At noon, we were ready to have lunch on the shore. When we reached the shore, we found a perfect place for a picnic lunch. We enjoyed our meal while enjoying the scenery. We could hear the sound of the water flowing and the birds chirping around us, which made my mood very happy. Our guide reminded us that we would be entering a more challenging section next. After a short break, we reboarded the boat and started a more thrilling journey. Our guide led us into another river. This river was located between two canyons and had a much faster current, with some large rocks scattered throughout the river. The guide explained to us some tips and precautions. I was at the end of the line, and I was very nervous to face such a challenge. I couldn't control my kayak even though the guide had told us in detail how to deal with the unexpected situation. Soon, my kayak hit a boulder and I was thrown out of the cabin. I rolled out of the kayak into the cold water. Even though I was wearing a life jacket, the current managed to drown me. The shock of the cold water took my breath away and I began to lose my bearings. I could see the sky above the water, but I couldn't reach the surface. The current was dragging me down and I felt like I was going to die in this cold water. I tried to swim to the surface, but the current was too strong. I felt my breath getting shortness and my body gradually losing strength. I could feel my body gradually losing control, and my arms and legs began to become numb. Eventually, I stopped struggling. I closed my eyes, and my body gradually sank into the water. In that moment, I felt very desperate and helpless. When I realized that my life was about to end, I silently prayed to God. I hoped that God would help me so that I could return to shore alive. My eyes slowly turned black. Suddenly, my pain disappeared. I felt my body became very light. The surroundings began to turn white and I felt like I was walking through a tunnel. I realized that I was in a supernatural experience. I felt myself surrounded by a warmth that felt very pure and beautiful. From here, I could see the upper half of my body. When I looked down, I couldn't see my legs. A tail-like object was attached to the upper half of my body. The tail was emitting a warm, bright white light. I was very surprised by this strange sight. It could be a supernatural experience. I had crossed the border between life and death and entered an unknown realm. A room appeared in front of me, which seemed to be made of clouds. I slowly approached this room. I felt like I could walk right through it. As I entered the room, the clouds in the room wrapped around me and seemed to have a warmth surrounding me. There was no furniture or decoration in the room, only a soft light shining down from the ceiling. In this room, I felt surrounded by love. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared in front of me. They emitted an intense light. They looked like they were made of crystal. A ray of light shone on them, creating a beautiful rainbow. One of them was much taller than the other 2. This sense of oppression made me a little nervous. It was as if they sensed my emotions. Instantly, the 3 figures turned into a group of beautiful angels. They had huge wings and their bodies gave off a divine aura. One of the angels said to me, "You have come too early, it is not time for you to leave the earth. You need to go back and complete your mission and finish your work there." I didn't know what to say to him. Did they know me? Why do they want me to go back? I had so many questions I wanted to ask them. This angel seemed to read my mind. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said again, "You must go back, your mission is not yet finished, you still have a lot to learn." The angel told me that he would provide me with some help in order for me to better accomplish my mission. Then, the angel handed me a thick book. When I opened the book, I found that there were no words inside. Suddenly, I saw scenes of my past life in the book. It was like I was watching a silent movie. I saw many scenes, some of which made me feel proud and some of which made me feel remorseful. But there was one incident in particular that struck me. It was a normal day, and I was walking down the street when a man suddenly bumped into me. I was very angry inside. Since I had other things going on at the time, I left in a hurry. The angel showed me the truth of the matter. The man was a blind man. It was because he couldn't see the road that he bumped into me. I didn't realize my mistake at that time, so I kept complaining about the man. But now when I saw the scene, I realized what I did at that time was very wrong. I felt very guilty, but the angel told me that the fault was behind me. I should move on and make up for my mistake with my actions. I realized that there were things that I did not mean to do. But that could have caused harm to others. I also saw some people I didn't know, including a woman and 2 very cute children. I couldn't see their faces, but I could feel that this woman was very important to me. The angel told me, I had to live for that woman and children. I knew I had to go back. But before I left, I asked the angel if he could show me around. When I got an affirmative answer, I was overwhelmed. The angel took me to a very open place. Suddenly, I heard beautiful music, which seemed to come from every object. This place was very relaxing. The flowers and plants here were fragrant. All kinds of small animals were walking through the grass. The angel took me to a higher place and I saw a huge waterfall. Then we came to a field of gold. At the end of the field there was a huge tree. The leaves on the tree were golden yellow. The breeze blew, and the leaves fell from the branches of the tree. Then, the leaves turned into birds of various colors. Next to this tree was a clear lake. When I got close to the lake, I noticed a special sheen on the surface of the water. It was as if the lake was dotted with countless diamonds. I bent down and reached out to touch the surface of the water and felt its soft and warm touch. Suddenly, I saw some strange things swimming under the surface of the water. Their shapes and colors were very peculiar. Curious, I moved a little closer. As I moved, the creatures moved with me, as if they were interacting with me. When I wanted to come a little closer, the angel stopped me and said to me, "You cannot cross this barrier. It's time for you to go back, you have a lot of work to do." My emotions started to get a little lost. The angel said to me, "When the time comes, we will come and get you." The angel took me back to earth. Some kind of power suddenly came out of my body, which made me regain a lot of strength. I swam as hard as I could toward the nearest shore. My hand grabbed a big rock. Finally, I climbed to the shore without any problem. My body was trembling with pain. I felt my stomach was very uncomfortable. I bent down and spit out a lot of water from my mouth. Only when there was nothing in my stomach did I gradually stop. My body became very weak and I could only lie on the ground. After a while, I heard the voices of my colleagues. They lifted me up and assisted me to walk back. When I got back to the camp, my colleagues asked me if I needed to be taken to the hospital. I shook my hand. I said to my colleagues, "I just want to rest now." They looked very worried, and they brought me a glass of warm water. When I went through that near-death experience, my life was rekindled. I felt my heart was deeply touched. That sense of fear of being tightly surrounded by death made me re-examine my life. I thank the angels for guiding and rescuing me. Every breath I took made me feel the preciousness of life. In the conversation with the angel, I understood a lot of the true meaning of life. He helped me to realize my shortcomings and mistakes. I experienced such deep feelings that made me understand the true meaning of life. I learned to cherish every moment more, to live more seriously, and to appreciate the importance of love and compassion more. This near-death experience not only made me understand my mission, but also made me cherish every moment of my life more. Although 10 years have passed since this incident, it has had a tremendous impact on my life. I deeply understand the preciousness and difficulty of life, so I cherish the life I have now even more. I have met people who love me. We have twin sons, and they are the light of my life. They make me feel the value and mission of my existence. I am grateful to God for giving me a second chance. This experience happened when I was 9 years old and I loved to play with my cousin when I was a kid. I would often go to the river near his house to play. It was a memory we both shared. Sometimes we would take some food with us to play by the river. It was a summer afternoon and the weather was very hot. My cousin and I decided to go to the river to play. While playing by the river, we met a stray dog. It didn't look aggressive. I thought it was just hungry and needed some food. When I tried to hand it a piece of bread, suddenly the dog lunged at me and I was very scared. I fell to the ground and then it pinned itself on top of me and kept biting me. In the process, I felt like a defenseless rag doll. I tried to struggle, but the dog's mouth was so strong that I couldn't get rid of it. I didn't understand why the dog attacked me so aggressively and I was very confused. Later I learned that the dog had rabies and that its owner had abandoned it. It started to tear my neck. I felt that the flesh on my neck was about to be bitten off by it. At this point, my cousin tried to pull the dog away from me, but his strength was too small. I watched as its teeth closed in on my face again and I felt like I was going to die here today. Suddenly, the dog stopped, and it seemed to sense something different. I saw it lift its head and look in a certain direction. I felt very confused and wondered what was going on. Then, I heard a voice telling me, "Kick it with your foot." I didn't know where the voice was coming from, but I knew I had to act now. I lifted my foot and kicked hard at the dog. I felt my body fill with power. I kicked the dog out of the air. It flew far in the air and then fell to the ground. I felt like I had just accomplished something supernatural. It seemed impossible to me that even a grown man could kick something that high. I didn't know where the sound came from, but I knew it was a miracle. I knew my life had been saved. When I stood up, I didn't feel very much pain. My cousin was ready to help me home, and we walked home along the path. As we were approaching home, I saw my family running toward me from a distance. I saw my dad with a shotgun in his hand and a look of panic on their faces. As they approached, I told them I was fine. My father took me to the hospital in town for a brief bandage. Then we went home. When I woke up the next morning, my throat felt very uncomfortable. My mother handed me a glass of water, but the moment I saw it, I felt an inexplicable fear. I didn't want to drink it, or even go near it. After a while, I was covered in sweat. My body began to jerk uncontrollably. My father saw that the situation was getting worse and was ready to take me to the hospital. I still remember the scene. I was lying in the back seat with my head on my mother's lap. My mind was in turmoil and I could feel the pain all over my body. My mom was holding my hand tightly and mouthing my name. I knew she was very scared. I struggled to stay awake during that long 30-minute drive because I knew it was my only hope. I kept telling myself that I couldn't die. I felt like my life was passing me by a little bit. When we arrived at the hospital, I was admitted to the emergency room. I was lying in a cold hospital bed and felt my whole body shaking. I could see doctors all around me going about their business. My vision was getting blurry. When I woke up again, I was out of my body. I was floating in the air, and I saw my other self lying in bed. All my pain was now gone. This surprised and disconcerted me. Suddenly, I realized that I might be dead. I began to worry about my mom and family. Suddenly, I appeared in the hallway of the hospital. I saw my mom sitting there and she kept crying. I wanted to comfort her and tell her that I was fine. But I found myself unable to make a sound. I became very helpless. I started swinging my arms in front of my mother, hoping she would notice me. But it was all to no avail. I didn't know if I was really dead or how to get back into my body. I was thinking, where am I now? Where am I going now? It was at this time that I appeared in a tunnel. The tunnel was very dark and I couldn't see anything. As I started to ascend, the tunnel became brighter and brighter. I felt like I was moving upward at a very fast speed, like a rocket launch. When I reached the top, I found myself floating in a sea of clouds. 3 golden gates appeared in front of me. The gates were studded with gems of various colors. The largest jewel was as big as a car. These gates were so large that it took me a long time to see where they ended. I marveled at their grandeur and magnificence and felt like I had entered a mysterious and wonderful place. I walked into the door closest to me. As I walked in, I was stunned by the sight before me. I had come into a huge space that looked like a giant zoo. All around me were many animals I had never seen before. I saw an elephant with huge ears that was eating a tree branch. There was also a monkey that was making faces at me. There were also some small animals whose names I didn't know, but they were cute and friendly. Suddenly, I felt that something was approaching me. I turned around and was surprised to find a huge lion staring at me. My first reaction was panic, but as I looked into its eyes, I could feel its kindness. I began to relax a bit because I knew that the lion represented authority and power in Christianity. The lion came toward me with a very powerful stride. The lion made a low voice and said, "Welcome to heaven, my friend." I was surprised to find that I could understand the lion's words. So I curiously asked the lion, "Why can I communicate with you?" The lion replied, "Because you are now in heaven, a place where there are no boundaries or limits. Here, all our lives are imbued with divine power, including our language." I couldn't resist asking again, "So all animals come to heaven?" The lion replied, "Yes, my friend. All lives will be saved and redeemed, and none will be forgotten. In this sacred place, every life is respected." Suddenly, I saw a sheepdog running in the distance. Although it was still some distance away from me, I recognized it immediately. It was a pet dog I had as a child, and it had a very distinctive gray spot on its ear. It has been with me since I was born. We played and grew up together. When I was 7 years old, he left me. I was crying for days. I even blamed my father for not taking it to the hospital. When I saw it in front of me, I felt like I was back in that good time. I held it in my arms like I used to, and it still smelled so familiar. I told it how much I missed it. Suddenly, it spoke. Although I knew this was heaven, I was still surprised. It told me that it was very grateful for my care and love, but that its mission had been accomplished and it had to leave me. I can't blame my father for this incident. I realized that every life has its own unique meaning. Not only humans, but all animals have their own mission. Suddenly, its body gradually became a blur, and finally disappeared into the air. Everything around me was slowly disappearing. Suddenly, a light appeared in front of my left. When that light appeared in front of my left, I felt a strong feeling of love. This feeling made me feel very comfortable and satisfied. Suddenly, I heard a male voice. He told me, "Your time is up." I didn't understand what it meant, so I asked him, "Who are you? I don't understand what you are talking about." He replied, "It's time to go back." "I don't want to go back, I want to stay in this place of love." He gave me a reason: my mom needed me. For the sake of my family, I knew I had to go back. When I opened my eyes, it was the next morning. I found myself lying in a hospital bed. I looked out the window and saw Jesus. He radiated a dazzling light around him. He had eyes full of love and wisdom, and he also had golden brown hair and a beard. His smile made me feel peaceful. And he seemed to affirm my choice. At that moment, my mom walked in. I turned my head to my mom and asked her if she saw Jesus in the window. She looked worried and told me she hadn't seen anything and that I might be hallucinating. I heard her words and felt a little lost in my heart. Could I really be hallucinating? But my experience was so real again. Many years have passed since this experience, but I can recall many details every time. Later, I became a volunteer for an animal protection organization. I deeply realized that animals need our help more than humans. They cannot protect themselves as we humans can. This organization mainly rescues some animals that have been abandoned by their owners. These animals' ability to survive in the wild has deteriorated and they need our help to continue to survive. In my work with this organization, I have seen many scenes of animals being abused and abandoned, and I have experienced many touching stories. One in particular made a deep impression on me. I remember when we found a stray dog in an isolated area. It was curled up in a corner with wounds from abuse. We approached it slowly, trying to convince it that we would not hurt it. However, it kept looking at us warily. I realized that the dog had probably been abandoned by its owner for a long time and was hostile to humans. We spent a lot of time and effort to make it gradually develop trust in us. We brought food and water to feed it. We took it to the hospital to receive treatment. With us by its side, it gradually adapted to its new environment. Slowly, the hostility in its eyes disappeared. Its tail began to wag and make happy noises. When the dog was fully recovered, we started to look for a suitable home for it. Eventually, a kind person took it in. It could finally live in peace and enjoy the warmth given by humans. Therefore, I would like to urge everyone not to hurt animals. We can choose to adopt pets and let them find a sense of belonging and security in our families. Let them get the right to live in this world as they deserve.